so I definitely don't lose it. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and get started. Tonight we're going to be doing a Tsubaki beginner's guide. This is going to cover the absolute basics of the character. It's going to be for those who know a little bit about Blazblue or know a little bit about fighting games, but are thinking about picking up Tsubaki and aren't exactly sure as to what this character is all about. So let's go over Tsubaki. Tsubaki is a rushdown oriented character that likes to get in your face and do a lot of damage. She doesn't have the biggest damage in the game, but she has pretty good mix-ups. She has really good pressure. She has great tools because she has a DP, which is one of those things that is a lot of good characters in this game have DPs. You've got a very slow projectile, so that helps a little bit against people who don't have projectiles. And you can see her moving around. Like, she's got really good speed. She's got a good fast jump. She's got a big ass instant air dash and all sorts of other things that just make her a really fun character to play. And if you're like me and you like air combos, she's got really cool air combos. So think of Tsubaki as a kind of rushdown oriented character, but she's not completely brain dead. You got to play around the opponent. The other core thing that Tsubaki is very, very good at is Oki. So whenever Tsubaki scores a knockdown, it's still going to be Tsubaki's turn. She's still going to be able to do a lot of stuff. She has a lot of really good punishes for back rolls, for forward rolls, for all sorts of things. She has a ton of different safe jumps. So Tsubaki is very knockdown oriented in a lot of ways, and you can score hard knockdowns from Tsubaki off of just about any hit that you land. So that's the basics. The other big thing about Tsubaki that's very different is the fact that she has charge. So she has an additional resource. And basically, if you look at the bottom left, I have it set to 4 in training room, but we can turn this off real quick so you get a sense of how they work in reality. The only way that Tsubaki gets charge is by pressing the D button, where she will charge until the meter is full. So you can do this on the ground, and you'll see it'll just slowly charge. While you are in the air, it will charge at a speed based on how close you are to the ground. So if you're really high, you're not going to get nearly as much meter as quickly as you are when you're low to the ground. One of the other cool things about Tsubaki is that anytime that you land a hard knockdown or any type of special, just tapping charge, you'll see that you get a big chunk of your meter back. So charge is very essential to Tsubaki because what charge does is it allows her to get access to improved versions of all of her specials. So Tsubaki's specials being, shield charge, the claw. We'll go over all these in detail in a minute. Everybody's favorite, the hammer, which is awesome, and of course, DP, air fireball, and air dive. There are basically drive versions of all of these that have improved properties. So shield, for instance, if you just hit the shield, it does 600 damage, really tiny. If you do the D version, it does 900, and you can combo afterwards. So that's kind of why Tsubaki's charge is important. Anytime after a hard combo, you can tap the charge button and get a little bit of charge back. And there's usually still time to go ahead and do Oki stuff afterwards, and it's part of how Tsubaki is really strong, because she gets more charge on these quick taps after combos than she used to. You'll see if we quick tap, we're getting just a little bit, but if we do it after a special, or if we do it after, I think on grounded, you get it off of full rec, is you get a charge. You get your half bar charge, which is really good. So charge is essential to how Tsubaki plays. Starting off, when I first picked up this character, I was like, oh man, I don't want to rely on charge. I want to learn these really basic, I want to learn my basic no charge combos. I don't want to be thinking about charge. That's the wrong attitude. If you're going to pick up this character, you have to build charge over the course of the match. There's a bunch of different ways to get charge, but charge is very essential to being able to have good options and also good damage with Tsubaki. All right, let's go over her supers real quick before we go into specials. I want to cover supers and overdrives and that kind of thing. So she basically has 2 supers. So one is she can spend 50 meter quarter circle forward C, and this is kind of like one of her combo enders. She also has a D version of this that does damage based on how many stocks you have. So at 5 stocks, this thing is going to do a boatload of damage. At 1 stock, it's not going to do so much. So you really want to kind of be judicious about when and where you use this and how many stocks you have and that kind of thing. The other one that Tsubaki is very well known for is bananas. So let's say you're fighting somebody and they're keeping you out, or whatever. You want your turn back, you throw out bananas, you rush in, and even if they block everything, you can get to them and still force them to do something. So bananas, half circle back forward B, really good tool for just running in at people, which is sweet. Let's see. And finally, we've got Overdrive. So Tsubaki's Overdrive is really cool because while she's in Overdrive, if you look down at the bottom, you'll see that the charge meter just fills by itself. So whenever you hit Overdrive with Tsubaki, you can go ahead and just be ready to have a whole bunch of charge left over when it's done, because it's just going to natively get you more charge while the whole thing is going on, which is really cool. What's up, Neptune? How's it going? So Tsubaki's Overdrive is a really good tool. One, for all those standard reasons that Overdrive is really good, but because of the fact that she just gets charge, later levels of health, when you've got this the max 8 seconds, like, you're gonna have more charge than what you know to do with, which is awesome, because charge is very, very good. So Tsubaki's Overdrive, you're very rarely gonna want to use it to get these like immediate exceed excel things, because the big benefit for you from Overdrive is not getting into active flow, but it's to getting more charge. So just keep that in mind, that that's kind of how you want to use Overdrive. All right, so from here, what I want to do is kind of cover some of the basic buttons that you should know as somebody who's new to Tsubaki. We're going to talk about jump-ins, anti-airs, cross-ups, air-to-airs, overheads, all that kind of stuff. Like, what are Tsubaki's really good buttons? Probably the first one is Tsubaki's 5B. This is really good to just kind of throw out there in neutral, because it covers all this space, and it's a little bit slower than some B buttons, because it comes out in 10 frames. But it also has 5 active frames, which is pretty long for Blazblue, which means that this will it will catch people who are running, who are just running straight at you. You can just toss this out there and check them with it. It even catches people who are jumping, which is actually really cool. Let me set this, because even if you're not sure if they're gonna instant air dash at you, or if they're gonna run at you, you're not sure. Sometimes 5B will just catch both, and you can combo off of it. Off of any stray hit, you can go ahead and you can just tag somebody with this, and now all of a sudden you've got a conversion that you can, do stuff afterwards. So 5B is a really good button. It's something that I underused quite a bit when I first started, because it was like, oh man, it seems really slow. But once you get used to the timing of it, it's actually really good. All right, so let's talk about jump-ins. So jump-ins, Blazblue, Tsubaki's is actually really good because she has jump CC, which is going to hit twice. So you actually get 2, let's see if we can set this guy to block. You actually get 2 overheads off of it, which is going to catch a lot of new players by surprise. Blocking, yep, here we go. So when you jump in on somebody, you can do this. And when you land, it's still going to be your turn. You can immediately go into jab pressure, even if they block both hits. And then you can just go into the rest of your block stuff, which is really cool. So if you get a clean jump in at somebody, jump CC is really good. The other thing that's really cool is that you can delay jump CC quite a bit, so you can do the fast version and kind of get down to the ground fast for the mix-up, or you can take it really slow, depending on the height. So there's a lot of delay that you can put into that, as opposed to just busting it out really fast. So it's something that can catch a lot of people off. Then from here, when you land, you can immediately start doing mix-up stuff. So on jump in, jump CC is going to be that thing that you want to get used to doing. Now the unfortunate thing is that jump CC doesn't cross up. You can try to cross up with this as much as you want. Off an instant air dash, it's just not going to work. So you'd have to like do this leap over. Like I've barely ever been able to make this work where it actually crosses up somebody. It's not very reliable. So the reliable one that Tsubaki has is kind of interesting. It's actually jump B, but it has to be really, really delayed. You have to basically leap over the guys and then hit them once you're on the other side, and it has to be done at this very specific kind of spacing. So it can catch a lot of people by surprise because it's not a very common cross-up option, but it's one of those things that you can miss space pretty easily. The nice thing is that even on block, you can immediately go into 5B and start doing some of your other stuff. But it's very tricky to use. Let's see, if we disable blocks, I think we can show comboing this. Hey. So yeah, you have to be like really low to the ground for it to combo as well. So just know that that's your cross-up. It's something that you can practice. It's not super reliable, but it is useful to have as an option. But she's not a super cross-up oriented character. Just know that like usually you can get away with just coming in from the front side and doing stuff. But if you need the cross-up, if you need that last-ditch option, it's this really delayed jump B. All right, let's see. So let's talk about anti-air. So Tsubaki's anti-air is primarily going to be 2C, or in my case, 1C, just so that I make sure I don't accidentally get 3C by mistake. 2C's got really good height, and it's also got head involved like most other anti-airs. So this is going to be really good at picking people out of the sky when they're coming in with a pretty obvious jump in. It's really good for punishing instant air dashes. It's not fast enough to beat some jump ins, so just know that it's a little bit on the slow side. You can occasionally 5A people out of jump ins depending on the height. But for the most part, you're going to want to get used to using 2C for this. Really good, and afterwards you get a combo, which is sweet. If we set Ragna here, so afterwards you just go into your standard air combo. You can do all sorts of stuff, whatever you want to do. You've got some freedom, but 2C is your anti-air. Let's see. So when you're in like kind of air-to-air situations, usually what you want to do is go in with jump B. If you're not sure that you're gonna get like a clean hit, you can do jump B and kind of see if you can get your combo started. You can do jump B, and then you can double jump into the rest of your normal air combo. Jump B comes out a little bit faster than jump C, despite it not having quite as long of a hitbox. It has around the same horizontal distance, and it comes out a little faster. So just know that jump B is kind of your good air-to-air. As far as overheads goes, Tsubaki's got two really good ones. The first one is 6A. So this is really good if you've got somebody who's just constantly blocking all of your pressure, right? Like you're trying all this stuff, like nothing's working. They're just blocking low. The cool thing about 6A is that it gatlings into 5C even on block or hit. So and basically 6CC is the combo that you're gonna want to do afterwards anyway. So the combo is the block string, and it's part of what makes 6A really, really good. Because, let's see if we can do this. So, like, even if he blocks it, right? Like, he blocks it, he's godlike. You can just keep going with more pressure. He's doing all the things. He's doing all the stuff. 6A, he blocks it. It's fine. We can still keep going. We can reset, we can do all sorts of things back into 6A. So 6A is really, really good because, you can cancel it off of 2B. You can cancel it from, 5BB, from 5B, from jab, jab, jab into 6A. And if you're doing this stuff where like, where you're like trying to mix them up with normal stuff anyway, and you're delaying hits and things, like 6A is, it opens up a surprising number of people. So just kind of get used to being able to do that. And when you land it, you can go into any of your standard combos, which is really cool. There are some like really specific combos that you can learn off of 6A later, but you don't really need to pick those up. Just know that 6A55 or 6ACC, excuse me, is kind of what you want to go to for this. Usually, a lot of times, the best way to use it is after like some jab pressure, especially if you jump in on somebody. Let's see, standing. This is kind of hard to, but you know, if you jump in on somebody and you do that kind of thing, you can reset them with 6A quite a bit, all that good stuff. All right, cool. Let's see, other notable things as far as buttons go. 6BB is a good one. We're going to talk about this. This is your standing low from Tsubaki that hits twice. It's not impervious to everything. On block, people can OD through the second hit and then, you know, get their turn back and all that good stuff. But it is really good, and you can combo out of it afterwards. It's also good for kind of like when you get too far away from somebody in a combo, the first hit of 6B actually moves you forward, which is kind of significant. Because then it lets you do some other things. But yeah. Let's see. Notable buttons. What other stuff do we need to go over? Alright. Well, since we're demonstrating the basic combo, we should probably talk about that. Alright, so let's talk about the first core combo that you need to learn with is Tsubaki. And this is what I tell anybody who's picking up the character for the first time, because when you first pick up Tsubaki, it kind of feels weird because you have all these buttons that you can mash on, you know, you can do all this stuff, you can hit all these people, and then you have like 3 different types of specials, you know, and they all seem the same, but they have different hit properties, and sometimes things drop and stuff is weird. We'll talk a little bit about the combo theory afterwards, but the basic combo that everybody should get to know with Tsubaki is going to be the following. I'll put the notation in the comments once I actually put this on YouTube. But what you're looking at is 5B, 6BB into Rekka series. So for her Rekka series, that's basically quarter circle forward A, quarter circle back B into hammer. So put that all together and it looks like this. This is the most basic combo that you can do on Tsubaki that's going to work all the time on every single character. And part of the reason why this one is good to pick up at first is because it works at max range. A lot of the combos in some of the lists that are out there and things, you know, they're all kind of, some of them are designed where you have to be like right on top of somebody for them to work, right? You got to be like right here for that combo to come out, right? Because if I try to go into 5BB from this distance, 5B just whiffs. The second 5BB just whiffs. This is like the single most annoying thing as a new Tsubaki player, right? It's like, I'm like, oh man, I'm running in here, I'm gonna do stuff. Oh man, my button whiffed. Now I get hit because instead of being at this range when I started the combo, I was, you know, out here, and now my second button whiffs. This drove me absolutely nuts when I was starting the character. In fact, we have to take a small drink of beer just so that we can remember how incredibly frustrating it was when I first started. Like, this drove me absolutely crazy. So the trick to get around this is to get used to doing, when you're at this maximum distance, to do 5B into 6BB into whatever combo you want to do afterwards, because 6BB will let you confirm at this kind of footsies range where you're going to be landing these, you know, 5Bs. So, very important. Doesn't happen all the time. Like when you get onto somebody like this on a jump in, like you are right next to them, you can do all sorts of stuff. You can hit every single button in your series if you want to when you get a jump in like this. You know, you come in here, you do all the buttons, right? And sometimes I do this to people, and look, the ender still works, right? So this is, but yeah, so that's your basic combo. This is the one that you want to get in your blood because it's going to work all the time, and because it leads into what to do when you have charge. So this is really simple. Basically, when you have charge, the only other combo that you want to do is instead of ending this in 2-2B hammer, you want to end it in the charge version. So all you want to do. So, and then once you land the charge version, then you can go ahead and do the rest of the combo. And this theory is kind of how all of Tsubaki's combos are built. But I'll show you what I mean really quick. So we're ending in D hammer, and afterwards we can do more stuff because we spent charge, and now instead of getting 2,000 damage, we're getting 3.4, which is sweet, right? So all that we're doing there is, instead of ending in, you know, normal hammer version, we're ending in charge hammer. And now we are doing more stuff afterwards to do things. So the combo that I'm doing afterwards, after the charge hammer, this one is really basic. This is in those player challenges that you've probably already been through while looking at this character. But Tsubaki's basic air combo is basically lift, you know, into jump BB, jump BCC, fireball dive. That's basically how you want to start off ending all of her combos. And anytime that you have charge, and anytime that you can get into Rekkas, you can use that charge to do an air combo with hammer. And that's basically how all of Tsubaki's combos work, is spending charge to make the combo go longer. It's just, you know, different points and different ways that you can extend the combo. But this one for me was by far the easiest to start off with. Was a basic max range thing into my air combo of my choice, land on the ground, tap some charge, and then go in and do it again. Honestly, like, you can learn the rest of the character just with this one combo will carry you for a solid month. Like, for a long time, it was straight up the only combo that I knew how to do. I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go into this anytime that I land a hit. It's totally cool. I know that I can get decent damage from this. I won't screw it up most of the time, and so on and so forth. So that kind of leads into, like, basic combo theory with Tsubaki. Is essentially you've kind of got 3 components. You've got your starter, however you open the person up, into charge. Somewhere you're either going to do Rekkas, or you're going to do like a DP with a charge dive in it, and then you've got the rest of the combo. It's basically how it all works. So, for example, no matter what button I press, whether it's 5B or 2B, 5C, like, no matter how I hit Ragna first, I can always get into Rekkas somehow. You know, I can always go from like 6BB right into my specials. I can always go, you know, 5BB into 5CC and so on and so forth, and get into my Rekkas. If I come in and I do an overhead and I don't know what to do, oh, I didn't expect it to hit, I can still end it in Rekkas. And anytime that I can end things in Rekkas, you know, oh man, I opened them up. Oh, sweet. I've got all this time to think like, oh, do I want to spend charge here? Yeah, the answer is probably yes. And then you can spend charge. Kind of the same thing, like if you know, you're in the air, you're like, oh, I'm air comboing. Do I want more damage? Yeah, I'll use charge dive and I'll do more stuff. That's essentially kind of how Tsubaki works. If you have charge, you make your combo longer. If you don't, you shorten it up. Now, she has a ton of more complicated combos that do have tighter windows, that have tighter timings, that have some strange cancels. There's still some of her challenges, I still can't do them, I'll admit. Like, I am not a technical genius. I don't have the greatest execution in the world. But this basic idea of, like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to open people up, I'm going to go into my Rekka chain, I'm going to spend a charge, I'm going to do an air combo. Like, this is plenty to go out, and if you can get this down, you're good to go. What's up, Tubbleware? How's it going, man? Alright, so let's see. So basic block string's a mix-up. So we're going to set this guy to block everything but lows. We'll do some block switching real quick. So we're going to have him block standing, right? Cool thing is, but I did get 17th at Combo Breaker, that's true. With pretty much this combo and a few others, admittedly. Because eventually you gotta learn more combos. But this is a good place to start. Alright, so let's say like Ragna's in here and he's jumping. Or he's blocking high, right? He's blocking or jumping. You basically have 2 different types of things that you want to do. You could throw a whole crap load of lows at Ragna in the same block string because you've got 2BB, which both hit low, and you've got 6BB. And you can use these twice in the same combo. Because you could run in here and go like this, where you run in and it's AAA, BB, 2BB, so on and so forth. Because the standing version will go into the lows, and even if he blocks those lows, you go into 5cc afterwards, and then you can hit him with the 6BB ones. So this whole like run in and press every button you've got, this is actually pretty useful because a lot of people get opened up by it if they're not familiar with what the block string looks like. And then you get Rekkas, and life is good. So this block string in particular is pretty common because people just, they get hit. If you run in with CC and, you can't go into 2BB from that, that's fine. You just do 6BB. And if they block it, you just go into hammer, and then you get to do stuff again. Yeah, so that's basically one of the things. The other one that I tend to do a lot is like I'll come in and I'll just let's see, we need this guy to crouch for this. Blocking everything, yeah. So like if he comes in and he's blocking everything low, right? What I'll end up doing is like I'll just come in and figure out how to get that 6A in there, because the 6A is that big overhead tool, right? It has better reach than you think it does. Sometimes it means that the follow-up will whiff, but if it's enough to keep them from confidently blocking everything low, then you're good. So coming in and, if you start doing these lows and they start getting blocked, you can come in with 5BB, do the overhead. The first hit of 2B, not 2BB, but the first hit, 2B can get canceled back into overdrive or into the overhead, which is really good. Yeah. All right, so now that we've kind of talked about that stuff, I want to talk particularly about specials. Particularly about all of our specials. First off, let's look at shields. 2 version, B version, C version, right? A version, B version, C version. They all have slightly more damage. They all have slightly better scaling. All of these are super negative on block. Like, if these get blocked and the other guy doesn't punish you for it, then he's free. You just beat him up. He doesn't know the matchup. This is super negative. You will get punched in the face for this getting blocked. So when you're doing your block string, right, and he's blocking everything, you don't want to end in this. What you want to do is you want to end in hammer. One reason for this is because you can block it high. He has to block it high, right? So it's kind of a mix-up a little bit, even though it comes out real slow. But the real reason you want to do it is because you're +2 on block. So even if he blocks it, right, you can just go straight into 5AA, and now you can do pressure again. Now the thing is that hammer is not foolproof. Really good players will DP you out of this. Really good players will jab you out of this. Really good players will overdrive through it and mess you up. But at a minimum, when you're starting off, like, you can throw out hammer all the time. Nobody's going to punish that stuff when you're a beginner. They're just not going to do it. They're bad. They're going to get hit. Or if they try to press a button, it's going to be slow. So feel free to abuse the crap out of hammer until people start punishing you for it, at which point you have to level up. Until then, you end your block strings in this, because you're +2 afterwards, and you can do all sorts of fun stuff. The D version of hammer, you're +3, and it is much more difficult to punish. Because it comes out faster, it just has better frames all around. So yeah, just know if people are blocking stuff and you're doing things, end it in hammer so you can keep your pressure going. If they start to barrier you, you're gonna notice you get like pushed out like a lot faster, right? Like, let's say this guy he's just blocking everything, right? Like, he's blocking every single thing that we throw at him. Barrier is pushing us like real far back. So before we get too far, right, we need to use that hammer to get in, toss some micro dashes in there, etc., so that we can keep our pressure in. Because if you end the combo in like 6BB like this, you're so far away that it's going to be easier for him to react. So yeah, just know, like, if you see barrier, you may not be able to do your whole like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do every button that I have. That's not gonna work. If you see barrier, you're gonna have to, toss that in there a little faster. Now, if they barrier block hammer, you're fine, because barrier adds an extra block strain, so you got time to dash up there and keep punching them in the face. That's good. All right, let's talk about other stuff. So claw, this move is really good because it has body invuln. So I can't remember the exact frames offhand, but basically this is going to eat attacks that just come at you. Let's see if we can... Whoa, why are you jumping? Why are you jumping? All right. See if I can record this real quick. So let's say like Ragna's doing 5B, right? Ragna's doing 5B. All right, that's great. So Ragna's doing 5B. We want to get in on Ragna. We can just go through the stuff. It's gonna eat his attack. I probably should have like done like a jump signal before this, but whatever. Come on, Rags. I am the worst at demonstrating stuff. I realize this. And even on counter hit, you get to keep going. It's glorious. All right. Anyway, so just know that this is invulnerable to like all mid attacks. If somebody hits you low, you're gonna get hit, which isn't good. But if they're just tossing out like the really fast big neutral button, you can go right through it. Really good against 9 players if they don't know the matchup, because round start 9 players love to press buttons, and this will eat their anti-air option and it will eat all of their 5 buttons. The only thing that they can do about it is press something low, which is not what 9s normally do because it has slow startup. So just know that's a fun little thing. Let's see, what other things do we need to talk about? So Fireball is really cool. This is good in some matchups to kind of like toss this out at full screen to make space. You've got the ground one and the air one. And I think that's about it. Let's talk about command grab real quick, because command grab kind of deserves its own section. Command grab's really cool in the fact that if you command grab somebody, you don't do a lot of damage. You actually do less damage than a normal throw. You only do 1200 damage, but you get 2 charges and they can't tech it. So there's actually a couple of really cool ways that you can get into this, especially if they're not barrier blocking. You can do this on jump in, where like just as you land, you can just go straight into it. As they tech, you can do it, which is just like the most hilarious thing ever to me. You can do it off of jabs. So like if you're up close, you can actually get 1 jab in and then go straight into command grab. You can do it off micro dash pressure, all that kind of stuff. So if somebody's doing a really good job of defending against you and you haven't been able to get any charge through normal means, command grab's a really good way to do that, because with 2 charge, you have a whole bunch of options available to you. Let me give an example. One of the real values to having 2 charge is the fact that you can use your charge to cancel specials into themselves, into other specials. Hey, what's up, Sama? Thanks for the cheer, dude. So if you do, let's say you do shield charge, right? Normally it would just be super negative, but if you have charge, you can cancel it into any other special. Into any other portion of your Rekka. You can just be like, oh, no, it's cool. You blocked it, it's fine, I got charge, I can go into something else and mix you up afterwards. You can do this with anything in your Rekka series, which is super cool, except for Hammer, obviously, because of just the way that Hammer works. You're off the ground, it's not special cancelable. But with the other ones, it does work, which is really cool. And you can use this in these ways to just zip across the screen really fast and get in. If you watch like a lot of high-level play, you'll see people do this kind of thing quite frequently, because it's really hard to avoid, because at full screen they're not expecting you to just suddenly be on top of them. This decharge too, the shield, has a huge amount of range on it, which is really, really good. So just know, even in pressure, like if you're doing something, you can do this and spend charge while in block string, and a lot of times people will get hit because they see the first special and they're like, oh, I'm clean, let me start pressing buttons, and then the second one comes out. So it's another really good tool that Tsubaki has. And yeah. Alright, so let's go over a little bit what we talked about so far, just so that people don't forget. Once again, this is your basic combo, 5B into 6BB. This is the one that you want to burn into your mind. And of course, if you have charge, you can spend that charge and go into the hammer version, the charged hammer version, and then go into your air combo, which is really good. And then from there, you can do all sorts of fun stuff. We talked about 5B, a really good button in neutral. We talked about her cross-up, the late jump B, which is awesome. We talked about the jump in, the jump CC that hits twice overhead and goes into combos where you can, hey, once again, you can spend that on the same combo that we just learned because it's super useful and super universal. Let's see, what else did we talk about? We talked about air to air is jump B. So, you know, if you're going aerial, jump B is really good. Your overhead is 6A, and of course your overhead is hammer. When in doubt, hammer, hammer all the time. Best move ever. And finally, we talked about some of the basic pressure stuff with her. And that's kind of just something that you'll have to get used to. You know, most of this going high, then low again. Pretty basic stuff, and fairly easy to do with Tsubaki. And of course, you can end it in your favorite combo of choice. And then we kind of talked a little bit about basic combo theory, you know, as far as like, okay, we're going to do buttons into stuff. At some point, we're going to spend some charge, and then we're going to do some more damage afterwards. Yeah, so covering all those basics. And the fact that, let me just say this again, you want charge. You want to get charge. You want to get charge all the time. Charge is essential for Tsubaki. So don't try to avoid, don't try to be like, no, I'm going to learn this character with charge. No, you want charge. If you don't have charge, you should figure out how to make some space to get charge, or you should run up there, get them with a command grab so that you can get 2 stocks, because charge is super important. Or, worst case scenario, you're fighting someone who's an absolute god. It's cool. You'll just go ahead and overdrive, and you'll get your charge that way. And you'll get your damage that way, because that's what you do. Alright. So let's talk about basic gameplay with Tsubaki. Like, what is it that you do match start? What are the things that you're looking for when you're fighting somebody for the first time? What are some things that you want to do? All that kind of thing. That's what I want to talk about next. So, starting off, hold on, we have a really good question in chat. Dyson is asking, what are the best wake-up options? In Blazblue, your best wake-up option is always to block. Now that we have covered that question, let's go on to the other stuff. Like, I don't even want to talk about Tsubaki's DP, because honestly, as a new player, you shouldn't be like relying on DP. If you're just picking up this character, her DP is not as good as other people's DPs. You don't want to use it all that much. It's best when you're like trying to get out of pressure. As a wake-up option, it's not that great, because guess what? It doesn't even hit people this far away. Like, it's got a super narrow hitbox compared to a lot of other DPs in the game. So like, you're not going to be hitting a lot of people with this thing. So don't worry about DP for now. All right. So let's talk about game plan. So normally round start, the first thing that I do is I backdash and I charge. Or I'll hop back and charge if I know I'm playing against a character that likes to backdash. And that's because with one hop back charge, so long as they didn't instant air dash attack me or tag me with some crazy full screen anti-air, like V13 or 9 will do, jump back charge will net you like a whole bar by the time that you touch the ground again. If they backdash, sometimes you can get 2. Now, the thing that's really risky about this is the fact that whenever you're charging, you're in a counter hit state. So air charge is actually a lot better, because air-to-air counter hits are typically not as big of a deal as getting countered on the ground. But if I'm playing against somebody who I know likes to backdash round start, I'll almost always do this. If it's somebody where I'm not sure what they're going to do, you know, I'll fuzzy jump out or I'll backdash, and then I'll go for a quick charge. I'll tap it. And while I do that, while I'm backdashing, if they backdash, then I'm over here. I'm just going to hold this button down until I feel like I'm at risk. Because charge, again, is your single most important thing to do with Tsubaki. You want to charge whenever you can safely. Don't just want to do it like this. And I still get hit because I will do dumb stuff like, all right, we just had an exchange, whatever, I knocked him down, I'm not sure what to do, let's do this, right? And I'll charge like right here in like DP range. You know, it's like, no, that's dumb. Don't do that. But you do want to charge when it's safe and when it's smart, because, you know, getting charged is very important. So usually round start, I'm trying to get charged. Once I have a bar of charge, I'm like, okay, now we can just focus on getting it. Or, you know, if he's being really aggressive, we can see about, you know, anti-airing him when he comes in, and then it's our turn. Or, you know, we can do this whole neutral thing. But usually in Blazblue, you're on top of each other like almost immediately. So, you know, if I get my turn back, I'm going to go ahead and combo him. And the best part about this is that once he's comboed, this is where you can just kind of keep the pressure on with him. Because I don't want to go into a whole thing about knockdowns and the rest of it because it's a little complicated at first and it kind of deserves its own video. And there's actually already a really good write-up. But essentially, when you knock somebody down in Blazblue, they're gonna neutral tech, right? So let's see if I can't do this. So when they neutral tech, what you want to do is while they're neutral teching, you want to do 2B, and then afterwards, just start mashing 5A. Just 2B while they tech, while you see the flash, and then just mash 5A. And what that's going to do is that is basically going to meaty them every single time because of the nature of her knockdown game. So you can see, like, as soon as the 2B comes out while he's neutral teching, and then I can just mash on this button, and I'm in pressure again. And I can do stuff. And I can, you know, toss all these buttons at his face until he stops blocking. Because the game plan with Tsubaki is always get this hard knockdown. The fireball into dive or just straight dive, because then you can start your pressure game on their wake up. The only thing that is going to beat Tsubaki's Oki game is basically DPs, overdrive, stuff that gives them invulnerability on frame 1. They try to wake up and press any kind of button, they're going to have a very sad day. So it's kind of the same thing too, like when you're in neutral, you're doing this air-to-air stuff. One of the things that I did end up practicing quite a bit when I started off, I was really frustrated because I had a very hard time converting air-to-air hits, right? Like, I'd be doing this and I'd like hit somebody or I'd tag them with 5B and I'd be like, oh man, what do I do now? Like, they're that far away, right? Well, it's actually really, really possible to like super jump cancel into just about anything with Tsubaki. You might not always get your most optimized combo off of it, but you can go into some portion of your air combo and get that knockdown, at which point you get your setup again. So even if you're not confident in your skills, getting this combo down to where you can do this is like super good, because just that alone will give you a lot of opportunities to do stuff, which is awesome. Yeah, and then of course, you know, as you continue on your path of throwing out hammers and doing a bunch of other things, there are definitely more advanced things that you can learn on Tsubaki. There are definitely more complicated things that you can learn, but Tsubaki is very much a character that's about, you know, being able to be present in the match, being able to have a good aggressive or defensive neutral, depending on what you're trying to do. It's about building charge so you can actually do damage. And then, you know, once you are in, it's about controlling that knockdown game and keeping them hemmed up. A couple final things before I go. A couple things that I just wanted to point out just because they were things that weren't very obvious to me when I was a beginner. One of the really cool things about air charge is that so long as you only jump into it, you can instant air dash afterwards, which is actually really cool. You can also jump afterwards. So like, so long as you don't expend your movement options beforehand, you can use those movement options once you're done charging. Now off a super jump, you get the same thing. So there's actually a lot of really cool things that you can do with this, like this into like a low instant air dash is something that catches people out a lot because they see this charge, right? They go like, oh man, fuck Tsubaki, she's charging. I'm gonna go like run at her and counter hit her, right? But if you can, if you're playing against someone and they're just, they're seeing it and they go red, you can do this. And it's amazing how frequently this works, where this low to the ground instant air dash will actually catch people. I think it's really cool. Just know that if you're doing it low to the ground, your like cross up jump B opportunity is gone. If you're really crazy and you do it off super jump, I guess you could pull that off somehow. But yeah, so that's something that I thought that was really cool. One of the other things was kind of learning about where like Tsubaki's combos fall off. If you're like me and you like to read combo documents and go through a bunch of stuff, you'll see like there's all these different types of starters and things, you know, where like they'll be like, oh, you do this and this and this. And there's a big old list of stuff. Basically with Tsubaki, there's some things that she can do when the number of hits before the combo is lower than 6. So for an example, I'm trying to think of a quick way to illustrate this. So let's say off of hammer, right? Off of hammer, if you do 4 hits, so let's say, you know, we'll just do this into Rekkas in a hammer. You do 3C charge, and now I can 5C and then do 2CC afterwards, right? I get 3 extra hits. So I can do, you know, this combo, right? Where I hit those 2Cs afterwards. If I do more than 5 hits, let's say if I do like 6, right? And I try to do this afterwards where I do 5C into 2C, the 2C will drop because I have done more hits than what is allowed in the combo. Same thing with like this, there's the corner, like you'll see this one in expert mode, the like cancel one, right? Where you cancel jump D into falling BB. It's another combo that only works under a certain number of hits. If you go over like 6 hits, it just won't work anymore. It will just cease to work. So it's one of those other weird things that I don't really quite understand about Tsubaki at the beginning, along with the fact that I just whiffed buttons all the time. Yeah. I guess the final thing that we should go over is everybody's favorite move, which is 3C. So 3C is Tsubaki's charge, right? This move's really risky to use because on block, I want to say it's like negative 17 or something weird. It's super negative. Actually, I'm going to look this up really quick just so that I can emphasize how negative this thing is. 3C, negative 12. All right, so it's enough time for someone to like microdash and press B, essentially. Negative 12 is pretty dang on negative. But in some matchups, it's actually really important to use this because it's one of your only tools that's going to cover this neutral space, right? Like this space where like normal buttons are not going to hit you, but this will, and it'll get you in. This low profiles a certain number of things. It doesn't have head invuln, to the best of my knowledge, but it low profiles things because it just lowers her hitbox. So it will go under some high air-to-airs. It's not super reliable, but it will go under some things with a surprising amount of consistency. And what's cool about it is that, you know, on hit, you get a natural combo all by itself. Like, you don't even need any charge. You can just go into your air combo, and it does a pretty significant amount of damage, which is good. So people will get hit by this. There's some moves that it hard counters. Just know that it's a really good tool in your kit, but it's something that you're gonna have some interesting time learning how to use and when to use properly. And if you do it right, you'll drive your friends crazy with the fact that you can hit them with this. My favorite use for it, honestly, is to like hit people during landing recovery. Like, because you can basically like snipe people if you think they're gonna fuzzy jump, which I find hilarious. Yeah, so that's 3C. Probably one of the other really significant buttons that I didn't really cover. All right, so with all of that being said, I hope this kind of helped explain some things. I hope if you're new to the character that it gave you some ideas for kind of where to start and how to start and what to think about. Tsubaki's a really fun character to play. She's very multi-layered. A lot of people are like, you know, a lot of people who don't play the character will say that she's easy, right? They'll just be like, oh, Tsubaki's like super easy. And that's because what they're used to seeing from Tsubaki is this, right? Like, they run up, they mash them with this awesome block string, then they go into hammer, and all of a sudden they're getting an air combo. They're just like, man, this character is so dumb. And then they get hit like immediately on reaction afterwards, and 6A makes them, you know, crouch so you can get this awesome combo like going on and so forth. But there's a lot of different things that once you get through the first point of just kind of getting used to her combos, there are some more fun, like, advanced stuff that you can learn. There's a lot of the more interesting, like, whiff cancel combos that are really cool. There's this one that I'm still trying to learn where you, like, late cancel that into stuff, which is... Oh, God, I really want to land this now that I mentioned it, right? Like, oh. Yeah, did it, see? Practice makes perfect. So she has more interesting stuff later on down the line, but for now, learn this one combo, get used to getting charged, get used to your neutral, have fun jumping in on people with double overheads, and generally have a good time. If you have any questions about the character, want to learn more stuff, hit up the Tsubaki Discord. We're all very helpful in there. I'll put a link to it in the YouTube description once this arrives on there. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching. If you got questions, hit me up in the comment or in Twitch chat, because now I'm going to go and acknowledge Twitch chat because of the things. So yeah, what's up, Twitch? I can drink my beer now and smoke.